Sky News Live.
On Super Thursday, this is Money Management.
Welcome to the Money Management Show, the show designed to give you the tools and information you need to take control of your investment strategy and retirement planning. I'm Mark Todd, I'm Director of Capital Financing at the National Australia Bank, and coming up on this show we will discuss the underfunding of retirement, the ins and outs of annuities, and how does Australia fare when it comes to the quality of financial advice. But first, a look at what's making news. The latest jobs data has blown expectations out of the water with more than 26,000 jobs added to the economy in March. The ABS data shows the unemployment rate fell to 5.7%, much lower than the 5.9% jobless rate that economists were expecting. Meantime, that all-important participation rate remained steady at 64.9%. Moody's is warning the Treasurer Scott Morrison that spending cuts alone will not make a meaningful impact in balancing the budget, putting Australia's AAA rating at risk. The ratings agency notes the Treasurer has excluded revenue-raising measures, and given the government's previous difficulties in reducing welfare benefits, actual spending cuts may be modest in the May 3 budget.
Well, the government doesn't believe that what has been put out today is a licence to tax Australians more. It's a reminder of the need to continue to consolidate our budget and to reduce our deficit, because that's the way over time that you reduce the debt. And that is what we're focused on doing. And what I can assure you is Labor will have higher debt, they will have higher deficit, they will have higher taxes, and they will have higher spending.
The RBNZ says it has found the source of the leaked official cash rate decision in March, and there will be consequences. An independent investigation found that a News Hub MediaWorks reporter told colleagues about the decision while in the lockup. As a result, the RBNZ says media lockups will be cancelled from now on, even though there was no evidence the leak impacted financial markets. Now, joining me at the moment, I've got Kristen. Are you on the line? I'm just making sure we've got Kristen Turnbull from Perth. Hi, Kristen, how are you? So I've got Kristen Turnbull from Perth, from CoreData in Perth. And Kristen is, I want to talk to Kristen about a report she's commissioned. And we've got Kate Golder from Affinity Wealth, who's joined me here in the studio. Hi, guys, how are you all?
Good.
You can do it in sync. Kristen, tell me about CoreData. Who are they, and a little bit about the report that you've sponsored?
Sure. So CoreData is a global market research consultancy. So we look to identify trends in consumer behaviour, and then we help companies to understand what the impact of those trends is on their business in terms of the products and services that they're offering to their customers. So this particular report doesn't have a sponsor as such. It's a CoreData report. It's part of our Superannuation Intelligence Unit, which is a suite of reports that we roll out throughout the year on hot topics around superannuation, basically.
And the underfunded nature of the superannuation. I'll just get Kate's thoughts on it. Kate, have you read the report? Did you?
Yeah, no, it was a really interesting report, and it feeds into what I have I've read before, that there is a huge gap, I guess, between what most people would ideally like for a comfortable retirement and pretty much where they're going to get.
Kristen, was there any surprises in the... I mean, this is sort of the show where we want a lot of people to get engaged in how they look after their money. So was there any surprises to your mind about how industry funds are being treated by their clients? So in other words, the reaction of the members to both industry and retail funds?
Yeah, look, I think the main, I guess the most surprising finding was really that, a lot of people are anticipating that they will need, a lot of pre-retirees are anticipating they'll need about $800,000 to retire on, to have the desired lifestyle that they want. But more than half of those actually think that they're not going to achieve that. So you've got a situation where in Australia we have about 4.7 million retirees, and you've got about 2.5 million of those people who are set to fall short of their retirement goal. So I think that's absolutely something that the industry and the retail funds are aware of, and they're working hard to try and start that conversation around educating the members. And I think financial advice has a really big role to play there in actually starting that conversation earlier with people and making sure they are on the right track to achieve their goals.
Kate, the numbers were huge. I mean, it says here that the average retirement is $292,500 for men, yep, and $138,150 for women, and they hope to have $800 you know, what do you do? What is the strategy? Does that mean you work till you're 91? I mean, what is it? What's the response?
Well, I think there's two really important take-out messages from the report. Number one, that we need to be putting more money into our own retirement savings earlier and larger amounts. And number two, what is it going to mean for policymakers? Because for those people who aren't going to make that that shortfall is going to be there, that effectively means they're going to go on the age pension.
Yeah.
And given we've got a whole large amount of baby boomers coming through the system in the next 15 to 20 years, what's that going to mean on our already huge budget deficit?
Did you have any thoughts on that one, Kristen? Do you guys look into the sort of the fiscal response or the capacity for the fiscal response? Because when you think about it, there's Mr. Morrison saying we'll have a fairly benign budget, but at some point in time, there are going to be, let's say, 5 or 6 million people who might need to go onto the pension, and that will be a bit of a shock to the fiscal challenge, won't it?
Oh, absolutely. We don't so much look at the fiscal response. I guess we're more looking at what are the industry and retail funds doing to actually prevent this from happening, because I think that the last thing that everybody wants is for the government to have to start tinkering with superannuation, because we know that basically all that does is reduces confidence in the system and forces people to look at outside of super as other ways to save, which is, you know, less tax effective for them. So it's definitely a big concern, and I think it's something that we're seeing the industry and the retail funds really work hard at trying to actually engage people over this issue, so we don't get to a point where we look back and the government's intervened and we think, well, what more could we have done?
Do you want to talk everyone through this great catch cry, the rise of the silver surfers? I mean, it makes me sound really good. Do you want to tell people what that is?
Yeah, so that was one of the interesting things. I mean, there's this big education piece, and one of the interesting things that came out of the research was the fact that there's been this rise in silver surfers. So that's just what we call them. It's basically older people that are looking to engage and be educated online. So while people might think that this is something that only the younger generations are looking for, we actually found that pre and post retirees are much more likely to want their super fund to educate them and provide information through the fund's website, through interactive online tools, than they are to want hard copy information mailed to them in the post. And that's quite a big shift from what we perhaps would have seen some years ago in that over 45 segment.
Is that sort of consistent with what you're having with your client set, that maybe the age is getting slightly younger, I don't know, but are they reacting to, I just want to get better data, I want to get more information? Is there a shift around, give me the information, I'll make a decision myself, or is it going the other way, saying, you know, Kristen's saying, don't post me a lot of things, I don't want to read it, I want to have it online? Like, how do you think your clients are trying to get their information? Yeah,
certainly majority of what we send out is online with links to our website or email attachments. Very, very little do we post things out now, just purely because it's so much faster and easier, and most people want to access it when they want to access it. And
are the clients more engaged post the retirement? Are you seeing everyone coming through, look, I'm looking at my equity funds and I'm looking at my bond funds and I'm looking at whatever, you know, my holdings? Are they much more engaged, or are they still saying somebody else has got to do it for me, I don't want to do it?
I guess people who are coming and speaking to us are wanting, in most cases, for us to do it for them, because they're pre-retirees, or they might be in their sort of mid-40s, and they're saying, you know what, I've got 20 years before retirement, or 25 years, I better start doing something now. So I guess people who are coming to see us are fairly engaged in the process. It's those who aren't seeking any advice, and the report sort of talks about the numbers of people who would like to get advice, are thinking about it but haven't actually gone. And they're the people, I think, ideally, that really need that education piece about seeking advice and finding out how we're going to close this gap, I guess. So,
Kristen, that's the point, I suppose, that really stood out. Encouragingly, awareness of super fund offers were on the rise. Close to 74.5% of retirees in APRA-regulated super funds were aware of it, yet, less encouragingly, only 42% have actually used the service. Is that the great conundrum? Is that the great conundrum, getting the 42 up to the 75? Like, what is it that advice has to do? And I'm not advocating for one way or the other. I mean, I think a lot of people love to take control of their own investments, but obviously you don't want people to end up with $300,000. You want them to invest a little bit better than that. So what is it you think they need to do? What strategies are they doing to try and get people engaged?
Yeah, look, it is a really big conundrum, and I think there's a few different strategies. One is to really educate people about the value of advice being beyond the financial benefits, because I think that a lot of people perhaps see the benefit as being about their portfolio and investment performance, and in fact we find that in a lot of cases it's actually those intangible benefits that people really get the value from, so that peace of mind, certainty and control over their financial future. So we tend to find that people that are advised are actually happier because they feel that they're in control. So I think that message is something that the funds and advisors are really trying to push, that broader value of advice piece. But I think the other thing is for people to recognise that advice has changed a lot in the past, and the delivery mechanisms that are available to people. So people might have been put off by the idea of making an appointment, going and seeing an advisor face to face, having their whole financial situation reviewed. Maybe they didn't think that was quite for them, and they didn't need that implementation of a full financial plan. Whereas we've seen a shift today. There's so much more flexibility in the way that people can receive advice. They can take it from their super fund, they can get it from a financial advisor, they can get it over the phone via a video conference. They can scale back the advice to a single topic or issue. So I think people are becoming more aware of the fact that it is actually possible to get financial advice on their terms, and I think that will improve take-up over time as well.
So Kate, have you seen a change in the way people want advice to your clients? Are they saying that I want a segmented expression, so I want single interest, or how is it that your advice channels are changing?
Yeah, certainly there's a lot more in the industry, exactly as Kirsten said, people looking for just single topic issues. It might be dealing with risk insurance, it might be just looking at superannuation, I want to set up a self-managed super fund, etc, etc. Again, most of the clients coming and seeing us are pre-retirees, retirees, and they're mostly looking for the full sort of service package. Yeah. But certainly the industry there are certain advisors that just focus on scaled advice, and it's great because it does mean that people can come in and just get certain parts of their finances looked at without having to pay for a full financial plan.
What's your thoughts then, Kate, on the idea of robo-advice? Is that something that you say that's a stepping stone to get people to have the conversation at some point in time, or is robo-advice just algorithms won't do it?
Look, it'll be interesting to see how it rolls out over the next 20 years, but I do think first and foremost that what we do is a relationship business, and exactly as Kirsten was saying, going to see a financial planner is not just about hopefully making more money. The intangible benefits, if you like, are a big part of what a financial planner can bring to the table, such as peace of mind, the feeling that, okay, I can go, and I have clients say it to me all the time, I can go on an 8-week cruise and know that if the world melts down while I'm away, you're going to take care of me. And that is a big part of what I think that human relationship can bring that maybe a robo-advice could not bring.
Kirsten, have you got any thoughts on robo-advice? I mean, I guess it's sort of it's evolving. I think a lot of people are talking about it, and the positive side is, well, the people who are not engaged at all, we can start the process by using algorithms. Others who don't like it say, look, a robot won't do what a human can. Is there somewhere where you think it's got a place to play?
Definitely it has a role to play. I think that the term itself is a little bit misleading. It's not really advice in the sense that we know advice. I mean, it's purely about investments and portfolio management. So that's one thing that people need to be aware of. But I think in that it definitely has a role in the younger generations who might just want to get their foot in the door and test the waters around getting some sort of professional assistance with managing their investments. And also in perhaps that mass market part of the market where, again, people are just looking for that sort of narrow offer. So we tend to find that there are people that we would call, from a behavioural perspective, controllers. So they like managing their money themselves, they want to do it, they're not really interested in getting any assistance to do it. So I think that it has a role for those people, but for people that, as Kate said, are looking for more of a broader, the human aspect to it and a broader relationship, then robo-advice is not going to be for them. Look,
we'll take a very short break. We'll be back after a moment from a word with our sponsors. Talk to you soon.
If you're not in a financial position to live the lifestyle you deserve, ask yourself one simple question: why? I'm Andrew Barnett, founding partner of LTG Gold Rock, and today we want to give you free and direct access to watch us trade live. You'll get to see the investment strategy and tools we've developed that hundreds of Australians just like you are using to earn their way to financial independence. without banks or fund managers.
It's simple, it's easy to follow, professionals help you all the way, and it helps you make money.
The lifestyle, the income is just fantastic.
Register for LTG Gold Rock's exclusive offer today, and you'll receive free and direct access to our live online trading room. My team and I will trade live in front of you, so you can see in real time on a real account just how much money you could make by following our trades. You have the potential to live the life of your dreams. Go to dailytrade.com.au to register now.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself? With Wix, you can create your own professional website. Choose a template, change your text, add one of our images, or upload your own. And just like that, you've got your own stunning website.
Strength. As we get older, it gives us the freedom to do what we want, when we want. If you're over 50, food alone may not be enough. Ensure gives you all-in-one nutrition to help you maintain your active lifestyle. Ensure, stay strong.
This year, we celebrate 100 years by building a future that continues our legacy. By forging new paths. By creating intelligent design. By reinventing how we move. By saying hello to the future.
For as long as I can remember, it has been my ambition to become an Olympian.
Eddie, you are not an athlete!
I know what it's like to be written off. I can get you a moment. It's gonna hurt like hell. For both of us.
You're a disgrace to the sport.
Personal best, and we're a disgrace!
I have a right to represent my country.
No. You got more heart than any of those other jumpers. You're Eddie the Eagle. Just fly.
Eddie the Eagle, in cinemas April 21.
Sky News Wealth is all about money. Making it, managing it, spending it, or just dreaming about it. From the flashy to the frugal. News, tips, tricks, and more at skynews.com.au/wealth.
Welcome back to the Money Management Show, the show tailored towards you, the individual investor. Our goal is to provide you with plans, options and ideas to take greater control of your financial destiny. I'm Mark Dodd from the NAB, and I'm joined by CoreData's Kristen Turnbull from our Perth studio. And here joining me is Kate Golder from Affinity Wealth. And for the first time ever, two women on the show. What a credit to the show. We finally started to mature like adults. And it's been great that you've both taken the time, because I know you're up there in Perth and you're flat out. Kristen, you've got this new report that's coming out, and you're busy, because I was in Perth and we caught up and you were like a mad woman. Children, husband
Pleasure.
and work.
Absolutely.
So you've got the report out. One of the things the report focused on was annuities, how annuities might be the salve for some of the wounds around not being appropriately invested, and having, the clients want to get $800,000 to retire on, they've only got $300,000. Can you give me some sense of their understanding of annuities and why that seems to be, whenever I hear this underfunded story, the response is always from people who provide annuities, you should buy annuities, which, I mean, that's what they would say, as Profumo said. But what do you think they know about annuities?
Look, not a lot is the truth. So about a third of people in this pre and post-retiree segment say that they have a good understanding of what an annuity is. The rest don't. So, and basically only around a quarter of people would actually consider taking one up in retirement. So there's a big education piece there, particularly because we see from the research that there is latent demand for some of the features that an annuity actually offers. So people are looking for a guaranteed income stream, and they are looking for certainty. But obviously in this market, an annuity is a hard sell as well, given cash rates are so low. So people are perhaps not wanting to hand that control over and lock themselves into that fixed rate of return. And as you say, is that necessarily going to close the gap? Well, I'm not sure it is.
And the thing is, Kate, with annuities, you can't resell them. It's not as if you can do anything with them. So
no.
What's your thoughts on annuities as an asset class in its own right?
Look, I have to agree with Kirsten. I think with interest rates so low, you know, if you bought an annuity today, you're looking at 2.5–3% tops. So you're locking that in effectively for life. Yes, you've got the guarantee, but what income stream are you going to get when they'll work backwards on, you know, you're getting a 3% income stream? So to lock that in today, when interest rates are at, you know, historic lows, what's that going to mean in 10 years' time? You know, and that's why I think you'll find that they just that they have their place, and we use them in aged care advice space for really older clients. There's advantages as far as aged care costs are concerned, but for say a 65 or 70-year-old to be buying a lifetime annuity today at 2.5%, it's just, I'm not finding many clients wanting it.
This is a question for both of you, but I'll start with Kate. Do you feel that when Kirsten says they don't understand it, one of the things I think they definitely do not understand is the cash flow. I think they see the cash coming in, and I think they find it very hard to get into the back of their mind that if it's a 10-year annuity, there is nothing left at the end, in general, like on average. Is that something that they just really don't understand, that cash is coming in and therefore they don't realise they're getting principal back?
I think for clients who are buying annuities, you obviously have to explain that education piece, that they're getting their capital plus interest back over time. Now, a number of years ago, there used to be Centrelink incentives for clients to buy it. So I think that's why you saw, first of all, interest rates were higher, but there were also Centrelink advantages. I think people understand them. I think where the big concern is locking interest rates in you know, locking in today with low interest rates. But secondly, what happens if I die tomorrow? Does my capital all go?
Yeah, that's right. What do you think, Kristen? Is it just that they don't understand the cash flows? Like, is there something that stands out you think they've really got to get their head around? And part two, do you think they're just totally invested in equities and that's where you see them putting their money?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's not just an education piece. As Kate mentions, there are people that do understand them and are choosing not to buy them. So we can't say that that's purely the reason why take-up's low. And I think you're right. There is this love affair in Australia with property and shares, and not just shares, local shares. So there is a need for people to really think about diversification in a broader sense. I think that certainly in WA and in a lot of parts of Australia, what we've seen is really heavy exposure to particularly the mining sector, and that's really had a negative impact on portfolios in recent times. So look, I think there's an education piece there, but at the end of the day, for the people that do understand it, they don't necessarily want to lock into those rates. So we need to keep talking about, you know, what are the retirement income solutions that are available to them, and make sure they're aware of what their options are, because a lot of people we're finding haven't even really started to think about retirement. It's still a distant concept, and this is even people that are over 45 and getting closer to that retirement date. So it's not something they think about, and about 80% of them actually expect to continue working in some capacity. So it's hard for them to imagine a time when they don't have any income beyond what they've managed to save through superannuation and their investments.
So, Kate, I ask this of a lot of people, how do you make tomorrow's problems today's headache? How do you make the fact that the government's got the problem, the government can't explain that they've got a fiscal hole, you know, they tell us all that we're getting older, that there's the healthcare costs are going to go through the roof. This report that Kristen's put together says that, you know, you've really got an underfunded pension plan and you are going to be in trouble and it will be really unpleasant and the government might not be able to bail you out. How do you make that future problem happen for today? How do you make it today's headache?
Like the politicians, I don't have an answer. I think, unfortunately, and I know, having, you know, a mortgage and 3 kids myself, that at my age, you're focused on paying down debt, you're focused on the kids, that when you suddenly start to consider retirement, maybe in your 50s, you're thinking, oh goodness, you know, I've got to suddenly put money away, and it's really too late. So we do have to start thinking about it earlier, and probably education, continuing to educate about the importance of putting super or putting money away for your retirement earlier is really important. But it's hard because when you're asking someone who's in their 20s to start saving for their retirement, you know, it's just not on the radar.
Kristen, we've got a couple of minutes to go, but what do you think? Is there a role that the government might want to... Do you think in a perfect world the government might want to get engaged in saying, let's get a better communication out there so that maybe it's bipartisan. Let's get a better communication story out there to say, you know, it's like all these things. We need to worry about our environment, deal with it now. Do you think it's something the government has to play a role in?
Oh, look, I think that the government absolutely does have to play a role, but I don't know if they necessarily are the answer. I think it's a really tough one, and it's always going to be the case when you've got a future benefit that you're trying to bring forward in people's mind. That's quite a hard thing for them to think about. So I don't have the answers either, but I do think it's a tough one, and I think that it's incumbent on all of us to really be having the conversation today and to be starting that conversation with young people, because really if you're having that conversation when you're 45, 50, it's probably too late. So it's really about, you know, bringing that education forward to younger people and making sure that they are actually seeking advice to make sure that they're on the right track to achieve their retirement goals, you know, in however many years' time.
The youth of today, if I could communicate with them, I'd be a genius. Look, that's all we have time for tonight. I want to thank Kate Golder from Affinity Wealth for taking the time to come and join me in the studio, and of course CoreData's Kristen Turnbull, who's out there in Perth doing all the good work. I'm Mark Todd from the NAB. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Have a great Thursday night.